You walk into a room. Some men puff their chest, talk louder, and claim dominance. Others say little, yet everyone listens when they speak. One craves attention, the other commands respect. So here's the real question. Are you truly alpha? Or just playing a role you don't understand? Most people confuse aggression with strength, arrogance with confidence, and fake toughness with inner power. In a world full of noise and performance, it's getting harder to spot and become the real alpha. In this video, we'll strip away the mask, expose the difference, and help you discover where you truly stand. Let's talk about this whole alpha thing. Everywhere you look, YouTube, TikTok, Insta, there's some guy yelling into a mic, flexing, talking about being alpha, calling everyone else weak. And the crazy part? A lot of people buy into it. Like, yeah, bro, loud voice, big biceps must be alpha, right? But wait, is that really it? Because honestly, most of what you see online is just a show. A performance. It's not strength. It's insecurity dressed up as dominance. You know what I mean? These guys act like they've got it all figured out. They talk about being emotionless, ruthless, top 1%, and all that. But the energy's off. Something feels fake, like they're trying way too hard. Always talking about how alpha they are, which already says a lot. Here's a simple truth. If you have to say you're alpha all the time, you're probably not. See, social media has kind of messed this whole concept up. It turned alpha into some loud, overhyped character. But in real life, it's usually the opposite. Real alpha energy is quiet. It's calm. It doesn't try to dominate people just to feel big. It doesn't need a camera to prove anything. It just shows up through actions, through presence, through how a man carries himself when no one's watching. And yeah, I get it. A lot of guys copy that fake version because they think it'll get them respect or make them feel strong. But deep down, they still feel empty, still anxious, still unsure of who they are when the camera's off. That's the alpha illusion. It's loud, it's shiny, but it's hollow. And if you've ever felt like you're pretending, like you're just putting on a face to seem strong, don't worry. You're not alone. In the next part, we'll get into why so many guys fall into this trap and what's really going on underneath all that tough talk. So yeah, why do so many guys feel the need to act tough? Tough? Like really, where does that even start? Usually, it's not just random. It builds up from somewhere, school, home, society, wherever. You grow up hearing stuff like don't cry, man up, be strong, right? And over time, you kind of learn that showing emotion means weakness. So you bottle it up, wear a straight face, pretend you're all good, even when you're not. And you start thinking strength means not feeling anything. But here's the catch. The more you try to not feel, the more messed up it gets inside. You keep pushing stuff down. And it starts coming out in other ways. Anger, ego, overcompensating, showing off. You know what I mean. That's where the fake alpha stuff kicks in. Instead of dealing with fear, doubt, or pain, you throw on a mask. You start walking, talking, and acting like some tough guy version of yourself, but deep down, you're exhausted. And yeah, maybe a little lost too. Most guys won't say it out loud, but a lot of them are scared. Scared of being seen as soft. Scared of not being enough. Scared of not being respected. So they create this version of themselves that looks strong, but doesn't feel strong. And bro, living like that 24/7s? It's heavy. And it's not their fault either. Society's been feeding that image for years. Like if you're not dominating, you're failing. But that's just surface level stuff. Real strength? It's quieter. It's about being solid inside, not just outside. So yeah, next we'll talk about the signs. How to tell if someone's genuinely alpha, or just acting tough because they're scared to be real. All right, so how do you actually tell if someone's really alpha or just faking it? Let's start simple. A fake alpha, he needs attention. Like badly. He can't sit still unless someone's watching him. liking his posts, telling him how cool or tough he is. It's like validation is oxygen for him. Without it, he kind of falls apart. But a real alpha? He's chill either way. Doesn't need to post every move. Doesn't need everyone clapping. He's cool being in the background, doing his thing quietly. Ah! And then there's how they handle disrespect or pressure. Fake alphas? They explode. They get loud. They feel the need to prove something. Like someone says something they don't like and boom, they start flexing, throwing words, getting emotional. But the real ones, they don't flinch. They'll either handle it calmly or just walk away. No drama, no need to perform. That kind of calm, it only comes from someone who's got control inside. Another thing, watch how a guy treats people who can't give him anything. Like waiters, janitors, random people online. If he starts acting rude or cocky with them, that's usually insecurity talking. It's like he's trying to feel big by making someone else feel small. A real alpha doesn't need to do that. He doesn't treat people based on status. He treats people based on who he is, not who they are. And here's a personal one. Check how you feel when you're alone. Like if you only feel strong when others are watching. There's something to think about. Real confidence isn't just for the camera. It's in how you sit with yourself. No noise, no crowd. Just you. So yeah, if you've been acting tough, always needing to look on top, maybe it's time to check in with yourself. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how to actually build the real alpha mindset, not for show, but for real life. So let's start with probably the most underrated part of being alpha. Staying calm. Sounds simple, right? But bro, this one's not easy at all. Most people lose it over the smallest things. Someone cuts them off in traffic, someone disrespects them online, or even just a bad day. And boom, instant meltdown. But the real ones? They breathe through it. They don't react straight away. They don't let the outside world mess with their inner peace. That's the thing. Real strength doesn't show up when things are easy. It shows up when stuff hits the fan, and you still stay centered. And I'm not saying they don't feel anything. Nah, they're human. They feel it. They just know how to handle it. They've trained themselves not to get pulled into every little emotion or drama that shows up. Fake alphas, yeah, they react to everything. They need to win every argument. They need to prove a point. But when you're really grounded, you realize not every battle needs to be fought. Not everything needs your energy. It's actually powerful when you can just let things slide. Not because you're scared, but because you choose peace over noise. And you know what else? That calm energy, people feel it. Like even without saying much, your presence starts to speak. Others trust you more. They listen differently. You don't have to yell or show off. You just show up. Steady, quiet, focused. That's the energy people follow. So yeah, being alpha isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. Next, we'll get into how real alphas set boundaries without yelling, begging, or losing their cool. So yeah, let's talk about boundaries. You ever notice how some people can't say no without feeling guilty? They end up overcommitting, doing stuff they don't want to do just to avoid disappointing others. And the worst part, they think that's being nice or humble. But real talk, that's just being afraid. A real alpha? He's not rude, but he's not a people pleaser either. He knows his line. And when something doesn't feel right, he's not scared to say, "Nah, I'm good," and move on. No long explanation. No guilt trip. Just a clear no. It's funny how people get uncomfortable with this. Like, society kind of trains you to always explain yourself. Why aren't you coming? Why don't you want to help? Why are you being distant? But here's the thing. You don't owe anyone access to your time, energy, or peace. Let that sink in. Fake alphas. They act tough, but deep down they still seek approval. They'll bark loud, but they fold under pressure. They hate being disliked, so they end up doing things they don't even agree with just to keep the image. A real one? He doesn't fake agree to avoid conflict. He just speaks straight, respectfully, and keeps it moving. Also, setting boundaries isn't just about saying no to others. It's about saying no to your own bad habits too. Late night scrolling, chasing toxic relationships, making excuses. Yeah, boundaries start there too. Once you learn to say no without guilt, your whole energy changes. You stop chasing. Stop explaining. Stop begging to be understood. You start choosing yourself. All right, next we're talking about something deeper. How real alphas move with purpose, not ego. All right, so here's something a lot of people get wrong. They think being alpha means always being seen, always being loud, always getting attention. But, the real ones? They're not chasing that stuff. They're chasing purpose. See, ego wants applause. It wants credit. It wants to be right all the time. And when you're living from ego, everything becomes a performance. Every post, every conversation, every little move, it's all about who's watching. But when you're living from purpose, it's different. You move for something bigger than your image. You show up whether anyone claps or not. You do the hard things even when nobody notices. That's a different kind of strength. Quiet, consistent, solid. Fake alphas are stuck in this loop where they always have to win the argument, win the girl, win the flex. It's tiring, bro. You're always performing. Always proving. But a real alpha, he doesn't need the room to know he's in control. He doesn't need the world to cheer for him. He just needs to stay aligned with his purpose, whatever that looks like. And look, purpose doesn't have to be some big, deep thing. It's just about moving with intention, knowing why you do what you do. Whether that's building a business, protecting your family, working on yourself, doesn't matter. What matters is you're not just reacting to life. You're leading it. That's what separates real from fake. Ego reacts. Purpose leads. So yeah, next time you catch yourself asking, how do I look? Or will they notice this? Maybe pause and ask, why am I really doing this? That shift? That's when it starts to click. Next, we're gonna go into real-life ways you can start building that alpha mindset, not fake habits, not surface stuff, but actual inner work. All right, let's get into one of the clearest ways to tell the difference between a real alpha and someone just acting. How they deal with pressure. Like when stuff goes wrong, when plans fall apart, when someone disrespects them, or when life just throws them something unexpected. You'll notice it real quick. A fake alpha, he reacts fast, gets angry, loud, blames someone, starts talking tough. It's all surface level, trying to stay in control. But honestly, underneath that, it's panic. He doesn't know what to do, so he tries to dominate the moment, even if it makes things worse. Now the real alpha? He pauses. Doesn't mean he doesn't feel anything, he does. He just knows how to sit with it for a second. Doesn't get emotional right away. Doesn't let people drag him into chaos. He takes a breath, looks at what's actually happening, then makes a move. That right there, it's not about being cold. It's about being in control. See, pressure exposes people. It strips away the act. You can fake being cool when everything's good. But when things go bad, that's when the real version shows up. And look, this doesn't mean the real alpha never gets upset. He's human. He just knows how to process instead of react. Big difference. Also, when he messes up, he owns it. Doesn't point fingers. Doesn't make excuses. He just says, yeah, that was on me, and fixes it. That kind of accountability. Rare and powerful. So yeah, next time you want to know who's real and who's performing, watch what they do when stuff gets heavy. Do they stay grounded, or do they fall apart and start shouting? In the next part, we'll talk about how you can tell the difference in relationships, because that's another space where the mask really slips. So yeah, if you really want to know what someone's about, watch them in a relationship. Not just romantic stuff, friendships, family, business. Anywhere there's real connection involved. Because That's where the act usually breaks. See fake alphas? They talk big about being in control, being independent, not needing anyone, but get close to them. And they start getting weird. Either they get super controlling, trying to dominate their partner, telling them what to do, acting like they're the boss of everything. Or they go the other way. They get needy, jealous, insecure, always needing reassurance, always needing attention. And then they cover it up with anger or coldness, but really, they're just scared of not being enough. Now, a real alpha, he doesn't do all that. He's not perfect, but he's secure. He doesn't panic when someone gets close. He doesn't try to own people. He builds with them. He can give love without losing himself. He can set boundaries without getting toxic. And most of all, he listens. Yeah, let that sink in. A fake alpha talks. A real one listens. He doesn't try to win every fight. He's not trying to be right all the time. He's trying to understand, trying to grow. That's real strength. Also, he doesn't play games. No passive-aggressive stuff. No disappearing just to get attention. He communicates, even when it's uncomfortable. Because real confidence means you're not afraid of honesty, even if it might hurt a little. So yeah, next time you're trying to figure out if someone's real or just wearing the alpha mask, pay attention to how they love, how they argue, how they handle closeness. Because relationships, they reveal what strength really looks like. Next, we'll wrap up this chapter by talking about how these two types show up when they're alone. 'Cause that's where it all gets real. All right, here's the real test. Who are you when the room's empty? No cameras, no followers, no friends around. Just you. This part hits different because it's easy to act confident when you're being seen. Easy to put on a role when people are clapping for you. But, what about those quiet moments? The late nights, the overthinking, the silence? That's where the truth shows up. See, a fake alpha feels powerful when the lights are on. But when it's quiet, he starts doubting himself. He needs the noise, the likes, the approval, the hype, to feel like he matters. Take all that away, and he starts shrinking. But a real alpha? He's actually strongest in silence. He's not running from himself. He's not afraid of his thoughts. He knows his flaws. Yeah, but he's not ashamed of. He works on them, quietly, without needing a round of applause every time. And that takes a different kind of courage. Also, when no one's watching, a real one still shows up. Still keeps his promises to himself. Still trains. Still reads. Still grinds. Not because someone's checking in, but because he respects himself. That's a key difference. Fake confidence needs an audience. Real confidence comes from self-trust. So yeah, next time you're wondering where you really stand, ask yourself, do I only feel strong when people notice me? Do I break my own promises when no one's there to hold me accountable? Can I sit with myself without needing distractions? Heavy questions, I know. But real growth starts there. All right, next chapter. We're switching gears a bit. Gonna walk you through how to actually build the real alpha mindset. Not just thoughts, actual habits, practices, and shifts that change how you move. So yeah, let's talk about where it really starts. People love talking about motivation. Those get up and grind videos, loud speeches, hyped music. All that stuff feels good in the moment. But the truth is, it doesn't last. Real alpha mindset? It's not built on motivation. It's built on self-control. That's what holds it all together. See, motivation comes and goes. Some days you'll feel on fire. Other days, you'll want to stay in bed, scroll your phone, maybe just avoid life for a while. That's normal. But the difference is, the real ones show up anyway. They don't wait to feel like it. They've trained their minds to move even when they're not in the mood. And I'm not talking about being some emotionless robot. It's more like this inner switch. You feel lazy, you feel tired, you feel off, but you've got something stronger guiding you. Discipline. Fake alphas. Yeah, they rely on hype. They chase the high, not the habit. They post all day, talk about winning, but they fall apart the second things get boring or hard. Real alphas, they're consistent, quietly, daily, even if nobody's watching. And it's not just about big goals either. Sometimes it's small stuff. Choosing not to react when someone triggers you. Getting off your phone when you know it's wasting time. Saying no when you'd rather avoid conflict. Keeping a promise you made to yourself. These moments seem small, but stacked up over time, they shape who you become. So yeah, don't start with hype. Start with control. The little moments where you either build yourself or break yourself. In the next part, we'll talk about how real alphas protect their energy from distractions, from people, even from their own thoughts. Let's be real. The world's loud. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone wants your attention. News, social media, drama, demiz, random negativity, it just keeps coming nonstop. And if you don't guard your mind, you end up drained, distracted, and low-key irritated for no reason. That's why protecting your energy is a big part of the alpha mindset. Fake alphas, they act like nothing affects them, like they're above it all. But in reality, they're all over the place. Reacting to everything, getting caught in random beefs, always arguing online, always needing to prove a point. Real alphas, they move different. They're not available to everyone. They don't jump into pointless drama. They're not watching nonsense all day and calling it staying informed. They're selective about what and who they let in. And it's not about being arrogant. It's just about peace. You gotta ask yourself sometimes, why am I so tired lately? Why am I always annoyed or anxious? It's probably not just work. It's all the little energy leaks. That one friend who always complains. That one app that makes you feel behind in life. That habit of overthinking stuff that doesn't matter. A real alpha starts cutting those off. Not in a dramatic, I'm better than everyone way. Just quietly. Without explaining. Because when your mind's not cluttered, everything changes. You think clearer, you move sharper. You stop reacting to every little thing. So yeah, protecting your energy, it's not soft. It's actually strategic. In the next part, we'll talk about how to build self-respect. Not the fake version where you act like you don't care, but the real version that actually changes how you see yourself. So yeah, let's talk about self-respect. Not the loud kind where you walk around acting like you're better than everyone. Not the fake tough guy routine either. I'm talking about the quiet, solid kind. The one that shows up in your choices, even when no one's around. See, real self-respect doesn't come from how others treat you. It comes from how you treat you. And this hits deep. Like, if you constantly break promises to yourself, skipping your own goals, letting people walk all over you, staying in places you know you've outgrown, over time, your brain starts believing that you don't matter. And that eats away at you. Fake alphas, they talk a lot about confidence, about knowing your worth. But then they turn around and do stuff that goes completely against that chasing approval, staying in toxic circles, ignoring their own gut just to fit in. Real ones, they build self-respect one small action at a time. Like showing up to the gym when they said they would. Like saying no when something feels off. Like choosing silence over pointless arguments. Like walking away from something that doesn't align even if it's hard. And they don't need praise for it. They do it because it's who they are now. That's the shift. You stop treating yourself like someone you can disappoint. You start treating yourself like someone you actually care about. And that changes everything. Your energy, your habits, your relationships. So yeah, real alpha mindset, it's built on respect, not fear, not ego. Just a steady, quiet commitment to becoming someone you'd actually admire. Next up, we're going into the deeper stuff, how to deal with the inner mess. The thoughts, the guilt, the shadow side. Ah, this part? Yeah, it's not fun. But it's where everything starts to shift. Let's talk about shadow work. Basically, all the parts of you that you ignore, hide, or straight up avoid. Stuff like the insecurities you don't admit to anyone, the jealousy you pretend you don't feel, the guilt from your past that still messes with your head, the fear that maybe you're not who you pretend to be. Yeah, that stuff. Now most people, they just keep pushing it down. Fake alphas especially. They'll distract themselves with work, gym, girls, whatever, anything but sitting with that internal noise. But real growth, it starts when you stop running from it. See, your shadow isn't evil or broken. It's just the parts of you that were never really seen, healed, or accepted. You were told to hide them, so you did, but they never went away. They just started messing with you quietly, through bad habits, mood swings, or self-sabotage. Shadow work means you finally face it. Not to judge it, not to fight it, but to understand it. You ask stuff like, why do I get triggered by that one thing? Why do I keep repeating this pattern? Why do I feel the need to prove myself all the time? Those questions hurt sometimes, but they lead to freedom. Because once you see the root, you stop being controlled by it. You stop reacting on autopilot. You start choosing from a calm place, not from fear or old wounds. That's real power. Quiet, clean, grounded. So yeah, facing your shadow isn't weakness. It's maturity. It's the stuff most won't do, but the ones who do. You can feel their energy from a mile away. Next, we'll go into how to deal with guilt and shame, the stuff that eats away at your self-worth. So let's talk about something that most people carry but rarely talk about out loud, guilt and shame. You ever get hit by a memory out of nowhere? Like, you're chilling and suddenly, boom, something stupid you did 5 years ago just shows up in your head? Yeah, that. Or maybe it's deeper. Something you regret. Something you never really made peace with. And now it just kinda sits inside you, low-key messing with how you see yourself. See, guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, there's something wrong with me. And when that stuff piles up, it starts to mess with your self-respect. You start believing you're broken. You start lowering your standards. You stop expecting better, because deep down, you don't think you deserve it. That's heavy, bro. And most people, they just numb it, scroll it away, work it away, drink it away, laugh it off. But the real alphas, they face it. Not with self-hate, not by pretending it didn't happen, but by owning it fully. Like, yeah, I messed up. I hurt someone. I let myself down. I knew better, but I didn't do better. And instead of carrying that forever, they do something with it. They make peace with the past by living better in the present. Not for Instagram, not for applause, just quietly for themselves. That's how self-worth comes back. Not by pretending you've always been perfect, but by proving to yourself that you can grow and not make the same mistake twice. So yeah, guilt and shame don't go away by hiding from them. They go away when you face them without judging yourself to death. Next, we're going to talk about emotional control, not faking calm, but actually being in control when stuff gets real. So yeah, emotions. Let's be honest. Most people either avoid them or they get drowned by them. There's rarely that middle ground where you actually feel stuff, but you don't let it run the whole show. And that's what real emotional control is. It's not about being cold. It's not don't feel anything. Nah, that's the fake version people post about. The whole be heartless to be strong thing. It sounds cool online, but in real life, it just leaves you numb. Real alphas, they feel everything. They just don't let everything control them. Like they might get angry, but they pause before reacting. They might feel sad, but they don't sink into it for days. They might feel triggered, but they don't blow up on the nearest person. It's like they've trained their mind to go, okay, I feel this. Let me sit with it for a second instead of exploding. That pause, that's strength. And yeah, it takes time to build, especially if you grew up in an environment where emotions weren't safe, where maybe you were told to toughen up or stop being dramatic. But learning to handle emotions without hiding or overreacting, it changes how people experience you. You stop being unpredictable. People start trusting your presence more. And most importantly, you start trusting yourself. Because you know that whatever comes up, stress, conflict, heartbreak, frustration, you're not going to fall apart. You'll handle it. That's solid. That's alpha. And look, no one's perfect at this. You'll still mess up sometimes. You'll still lose it here and there. But the point is, you're working on it. You're not pretending anymore. You're actually building control from the inside out. All right, now that we've gone deep into the inner stuff, the mind, the habits, the shadow, we're gonna wrap this whole thing up with a clean, honest conclusion. So if you made it this far, you probably get it now. Being alpha, it's not about flexing, not about being the loudest in the room, and definitely not about pretending to have it all figured out. It's about who you are when no one's watching. It's about self-respect, not ego. It's about staying calm in chaos, choosing peace over noise, and doing the uncomfortable work quietly. You don't need to shout that you're a leader. Real leadership, people feel it. Through your consistency. Through your presence. Through your choices. And yeah, some days you'll feel off. You'll fall into old patterns. You'll lose focus. That's okay. The difference now? You know better. And little by little, you'll start doing better. So maybe you're not alpha yet. Maybe you're still figuring it out. Cool. That's honest. That's real. You're not lost. You're just in the middle of becoming. And that's more powerful than any performance could ever be. If this hit something real for you, take a second and just sit with it. No rush to share, no need to comment, unless you feel like it. But if you're on this path, the real one, not the show, then yeah, hit subscribe. Stick around. We're gonna keep talking about stuff that actually matters. Not the hype, not the noise, just the real inner work. Till then, take care of your peace, your mind, and your standards. You good. All right. See you in the next one.